Hey everybody, off the Mike Sports Network here. I'm doing something a little different. If you guys haven't been paying attention to the College World Series, you're missing out. This event is special. I've gotten a chance to cover college sports over the last handful of years. I got a chance to focus on college baseball this year. This event is special. Omaha means something not only just to college baseball, but to the NCAA. This is an event. They go all out with it. The city rallies around it. It's a beautiful ballpark in Omaha. The old Rosenblatt Stadium was really special, but now they're in Charles Schwab Field, which is a beautiful ballpark to go watch a game. I hope at some point in my life I get a chance to go to Omaha, Nebraska, and watch a baseball game at Charles Schwab Field, particularly in the College World Series, because special things happen there every single year. And we saw something on Monday that we may never see again across maybe any level of professional baseball. It's one of the great performances by an individual that maybe I've ever seen in any sporting event ever. Given the stakes, given what was done, given the historic nature of it, this was unbelievable. Gage Wood from Arkansas. So for those of you who don't know how the College World Series works, so the college baseball tournament starts with 64 teams. There's 16 national seeds. It goes to regionals, then super regionals is the best of three, and then it goes down to 8 teams to Omaha. It's 2 mini 14 tournaments. It's double elimination until you get one team from each of those respective brackets to the final series, which is the best of 3. First team to win 2 wins that. So what happened was Arkansas is playing Murray State. Arkansas was the number 3 national seed in this tournament, one of the better teams in the country. And Arkansas lost their first game to LSU. And Murray State lost their first game to UCLA. And so these two teams are playing in an elimination game on Monday afternoon from Omaha. And Gage Wood goes out there and proceeds to throw a no-hitter. But wait a minute. For those of you dismissing it, because we don't see no-hitters very often, or we don't even see complete games very often anymore in the modern Major League Baseball with all this bullpenning and stuff. But Gage Wood goes out, throws 119 pitches, a no-hitter with 19 strikeouts. Let me say that again. No-hitter, which means he threw all 9 innings, 119 pitches, 19 strikeouts. A no-hitter in the College World Series. For those of you wondering, and you probably have seen this, but I needed to illustrate this and give this a bigger platform. This is the first time a no-hitter has happened in the College World Series in 65 years. And Gage Wood, had he not hit a batter in the 8th inning, we might be talking about the first perfect game in the history of the College World Series. First perfect game. And maybe 20 strikeouts. The 19 is already a record for the College World Series. That's already a record. That surpassed, I think it was 17 was the record. Yes, he got gifted 1 strikeout because it was an overturned hit batsman. But considering the stakes of what was on the line here, Arkansas season hanging in the balance, 3rd national seed in this tournament, one of the best teams in America, facing a really hot Murray State team who was one of the darlings of this tournament, Cinderella, if you will. And Gage Wood goes out there, 119 pitches over 9 innings, and doesn't give up a hit. Like, holy shit. You guys, you don't see complete games in Major League Baseball anymore. So can we admire what we saw? My voice is cracking here. Can we admire just how unbelievable of a performance this is for a 20-something-year-old kid to walk in with the season on the line and literally get almost everybody out? And the one thing, he missed a breaking ball that hit a guy in the foot, and he was even saying after the game, like, as Danny Wexelman, somebody who I've worked with and is a great reporter, by the way, does a great job for ESPN, does a great job on Sirius XM as well, and did a great job with this interview. First thing that came out of this guy's mouth is like saying, "Oh yeah, what are you thinking about after you make it such history?" God, I shouldn't have hit that guy. It was like, I love the competitiveness, but yeah, Arkansas, like, seriously, like, this is insane what this kid was able to do from an individual perspective. I don't think I've ever seen an individual performance quite like this in my life, because this is a college kid on the biggest stage in college baseball. For those who don't understand how prestigious it is to get to Omaha, when there's 64 teams that are in the tournament and only 8 make it there every single year, and your season is hanging in the balance as one of the top teams in America. You have everything on the line. Team only gave him 3 runs, and this guy goes out there and no hits Murray State, including striking out Jonathan Hogarth, who's one of the better players in America, their leadoff man, strikes him out to end the game. 19 strikeouts. Only 3 times in the history of college baseball in this World Series at this event has a no-hitter happened. First time in 65 years since 1960 that this had happened. And had he not hit a guy, he would have made history and become the only perfect game in the history of the College World Series. Like, can we just acknowledge, and I will hold up my 1 for him as I'm wearing a Cody Rhodes shirt, by the way. I'm going to hold up my 1, and I'm going to acknowledge the tribal chief, as far as I'm concerned, Gage Wood. Because this was just next, and just, he wasn't rattled. Even when he threw, like, he hit a guy and then proceeded to strike out the next 2. I think he got a ground ball and then he struck out the next 2. It was unbelievable, just the level of dominance that we saw and greatness that we saw on the mound in Omaha on Monday. Because I think one thing that we've lost in, I know a lot of people sometimes brag on baseball a little bit because of how boring it's gotten. One thing that I don't really like, even though despite the fact that, I'm a Cleveland Guardians fan, and, one of the strengths of their team, and they're not that good this year, one of the strengths of their team is their bullpen. One thing I miss solely as a guy who rooted for the Indians Guardians organization, I've seen multiple I've seen 4 Cy Youngs through this team in my recent existence over the last 20 or so years. You had CC Sabathia, Cliff Lee, Shane Bieber, and Corey Kluber, who I've all seen win because they were dominant starting pitchers. You do not see that at this level at the major league level of baseball, where you can see a guy who can literally throw 120 pitches and, get you from point A to point B. So what Gage Wood did in one of the most tough spots on the biggest stage in college baseball, to go out there and throw 119 pitches, strike out 19 guys, which is more than anybody's ever done, and do something that hasn't been done in 65 years. It is maybe the most nails performance that I've ever seen from any athlete at any level of any sport, maybe ever. Like, we've seen 50, 60-point performances in, the NBA and stuff like that. This guy, as a pitcher, you have the whole thing on your shoulders because you're throwing the ball to a guy, and if he hits it, like, you're in control of everything as a pitcher. So this guy goes out there with the control, with the most amount of pressure that you could have. Your season hanging in the balance as one of the top teams and one of the favorites to win the national championship, and you rescue their season. And if you don't hit a guy in the 8th inning, we may be looking at a 20 strikeout perfect game. Think about that. At any level, have you ever heard of anything that insane? Let alone from a guy who's in his 20s and is going to be a top MLB draft pick and probably made himself a shit ton of money with what he was able to accomplish in Omaha on Monday afternoon. So, listen, if Arkansas goes on and wins the national championship, which they very well could out of the losers bracket, which is hard to do because now basically you have to go beat the team. They have to go beat the team potentially in LSU. If LSU still got to play against UCLA, but whoever, LSU or UCLA, if Arkansas potentially has to go beat one of those teams twice just to go play for a national championship. But if they do it, and they're very capable of doing it, they're going to be looking back at this performance from Gage Wood and saying, holy shit, this guy is a freaking living legend. Because, like I said, I can't remember just seeing a performance quite like this one from just any individual athlete, because it's, like I said, being a pitcher is really hard because your arm is being utilized a ton, and just the guy was just every opportunity that he had to have stress on him, only having a 3-run lead, hitting a guy when you have a perfect game brewing. And this guy was pumping 97, 98 miles an hour past some of the best hitters in college baseball. It really is a remarkable story. So listen, if you're an Arkansas fan, and shout out to my guy, Jimmy, who I work with over at SiriusXM, like, listen, be proud of this kid, man. And if you're a college baseball fan, just be proud that you got to watch one of the great performances in college athletics history and in just athletics in general. Because you just don't see stuff like this anymore, specifically in baseball, where guys are able to, like, put their bodies on the line, throw over well over 100 pitches, and do something that virtually has never happened before. We don't see historic stuff very much anymore because a lot of the history making things just don't happen. This is unbelievable. So I hope I gave that context to you guys. And if you're, and again, like I said at the top of the video, if you're not watching the College World Series, you're missing out. Gage Wood became a living fucking legend. And like I said, if Arkansas wins the national championship, you give that guy everything because that was an all time performance. Anyway, thanks so much. I'll see you guys. Bye bye.